I can't believe Toby Fox has done this. We waited just about 3 years for the second chapter of Deltarune to be released. 3 years! At this rate, Deltarune will be finished in 2036. And after all that waiting, all that patience, the biggest disappointment came out. You still can't romance Rousey. This is an outrage. What a shame. After all these years, yet another day goes by where I can't even buy Rousey flowers. Toby Fox, you've taken everything away from me. You knew exactly what your fans wanted and never actually went on to release something that will actually make us happy. This is an embarrassment. Folks, we've been blessed with yet another full-blown chapter of Deltarune. Bruh, it's jam-packed! We got new enemies, fights, characters, jokes, areas, systems, and everything in between, and everything below, and cryptic, and disturbing, and Spamton. He's a character introduced in this chapter that has a deep background. He's the secret boss of this chapter, and he's terrifying. Sure, he may be overall spooky, but I guarantee what went on in my mind while meeting this annoying foe was more disturbing than what you experienced. I guess I should explain. Explain why I find Spamton so terrifying. Spamton's character is a lot of why we feel so uneasy about him. He's obviously some kind of computer, but he has a character as well, some kind of free will with his sense of pride, but it becomes clear later on that he's more than just a sleazy businessman. As he tells you to be a big shot, you can really get the idea that he's part of something larger, and that's what we see as we dig deeper into who Spamton is beyond the surface. Gaining access to Spamton's shop, you do as you're told as you find your way to a basement that you have to explore all by yourself, and must take a disc with information given from Spamton and some sort of corpse. It's terrifying. Terror in which you don't know what you're doing or what you're dealing with by yourself, following orders from somebody that obviously shouldn't be trusted. And soon enough, that terror is transferred to horror. Spamton NEO. This building tension finally takes form into a powerful being, the hardest boss in all of Deltarune, and this just makes Spamton even more confusing. You can tell that he's being controlled by strings and even talks to heaven? Who is this person? It seems impossible to stand up against the being with just the 3 of you. Well, it gets worse. I'm going to try not to spoil the Snowgrave route as much as I can, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be explaining the final boss of this run. If you didn't already feel alone, there's a version of the fight where you take Spamton NEO on all by yourself, in a dark room, 1-to-1, completely outnumbered in power. It's truly you standing up to something of unimaginable horror. To give you a better idea of how terrifying Spamton is, I've got an Undertale enthusiast here who can compare him to something he finds less terrifying.
Omega Flowey is one of the many bosses found in Undertale. Just take a glance at this monstrosity. Its attacks, its presence, its size, its voice, and its completely unnatural looks. It is obviously something that scared a ton of players in the past when Undertale originally released. But what makes this hot garbage of stock images any less scary than Spamton NEO? Well, for one, you aren't alone in the fight against Flowey. But there's something that Spamton NEO has that Omega Flowey doesn't. It's the fact that you have nothing on your side to help except your friends in the regular route of the game. In the Omega Flowey fight, you have the help and support of the other human souls on your side to help you defeat Flowey. But against Spamton and the Snowgrave route to be specific, you have nobody but yourself to rely on against him. This is also made worse since he's just so unsettling to look at entirely. So in a way you could feel lonely or stranded fighting this thing. As mentioned, Omega Flowey was definitely built to make an attempt to be scary. But Spamton isn't scary out of horror, he's just downright fearful and unsettling to look at. And that's how I feel about this stupid digital idiot. I'm out of here.
And that's not all that sets him apart. Although Omega Flowey is another case of an indescribably powerful being, he's just part of a story. He represents something that takes place in the story of Undertale. But Spamton, he actually represents something in our own lives. He represents scammers, thieves, and other malicious spam you find in your daily lives. Spamton was never a character, he was a culmination of an idea of evil that is very true and very real. This evil is given form in a powerful way, and this is something that shook me and shook many others on levels beyond a simple video game. Once you cut his wires or beat the crap out of him like I did, you actually get a look at his character. Spamton truly wanted to be a help to his friends, but became a big shot instead. It's almost a sad story of how a life got ruined by greed, losing freedom and becoming a monstrosity. And it gets scary when you realize anyone could be affected by this, in the game or in the real world. So, these are the feelings that went through me when I met Spamton. Whether he's even more horrifying than I thought, or I'm just overreacting, the fact is true that this character is one that is terrifying on many levels. Dang, I'll be honest, Toby Fox is one of the only game creators that has the ability to showcase emotions and feelings so accurately through a video game. And, once again, it all comes back to the indie game industry. Celeste, for example, knows how to portray their emotions of anxiety and depression so accurately through gameplay. And FNAF knows how to portray fear and terror through the uncanny valleys so precisely through visuals, aesthetics, and what have you. We're lucky to live in such a revolutionary era of gaming, so keep finding new games, exploring the community, and having fun. Thank you for listening.